Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 15th of January. So, news-wise, we got very little out. Yesterday's data was washed over, bearing in mind it was all old. It didn't have hardly an impact on the market, so they remained pretty choppy for most of the day there. Today we've got very little information, data coming out. We've got the unemployment claims. This is such a flat number normally, so it doesn't do too much. Whatever it does, it's a weekly figure. The only week it does have an effect on is non-farm payrolls, which because there's people looking for clues, but at the moment nothing there expected to move, and this other data is quite low value. So looking at the technicals then, and we've got the euro. Let's just look at the euro then. So the euro is continuing now this morning to run back southbound a little bit here. It's you see it better on this 4-hourly chart here. It came in the end yesterday back to the 34, back up to that 34 again. It seems to hold it quite nicely at times when it's in these trends. It comes back to that. It's reacted, dropping back down now, not too far away from the lows from last week. He says no, it's this week, wasn't it? Monday's lows. So there's a bit of low stuff on Friday, but it came back on Monday, early Monday there. But anyway, heading for that direction at the moment. Potential is, well, there's a side of this. We've seen this sort of support given by this pivot here. So technically, the next level of support would be that daily 200. There's nothing too obvious aside of that glaring at me here. Let's just look at the lower time frame. Sometimes there'll be something a bit more obvious here. The weekly S1 there to 115.90. Let's go back. Where's that sitting? 115.70. So yeah, that's quite a bit lower. Right. Okay. So it's just getting into the trade. Well, it's not really shown a signal at the moment to get into the trade because it's already going. Maybe a retrace of some sorts back to the lower time frame moving averages could give us something, but it's probably quite a bit of risk in terms of just finding a bit of near-term support off of the Monday's low. Right, the pound. Now we'd seen some positive data coming in. It wasn't low-key data, but we've seen some positive data coming in there. It's not really done too much to the markets here. In fact, it's still looking from a 4-hourly picture like we've got a potential breakdown for continuation again back towards, well, in this case the 4-hourly 200. The previous lows over there would be a reasonable target if it gets moving. Now this one has a possible breakdown level, or maybe below the S1 would be a starting point there for this. It's very tight in terms of where the support comes in then, but that's the potential. A bit more mix hanging in there at this stage. US dollar yen seems to have made a bit of a move yesterday, and we saw a bit of a reversal. I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, this is still a strong old upward trend. And it's just looking at what's sort of developed here, particularly on the hourly time frame. The 4-hourly, well, if we were to come and start breaking down these lows, this could be the point I've been waiting for in terms of getting a short onto the dollar yen. As I mentioned it yesterday in terms of its levels, we looked at the higher time frames, and it's been a while since it's been up here, and we do get the potential intervention when it gets up to this sort of 159, 160 area. Looking at it at the moment, it's consolidated here. Yeah, really, the ideal point would be on a break of the lows here. There could be you could be drawing trend lines up the underneath the lows here and wait for a break of the current bars, etc. The only risk with this is the amount of chop. to me it would be a better trade in the afternoon than this morning, as it seemed the markets really don't seem to be kicking off too well in the mornings. Having said that, it did all right yesterday, but it already come back quite a bit there yesterday. Anyway, there is the scope for that. Aussie dollar back into got this sort of head and shouldery pattern hanging around here on the 4 hourlies. That's really what I'm looking at. A potential breakdown that's nowhere near doing at the moment. Not interested in anything else, only really looking at a swing on that. And the US dollar CAD, well, you see it's consolidating on the dailies around this pivotal area. He's trying maybe to push back out there. I looked at it on the lower time frames and it just yesterday was awful. It's yeah, very rangy, very tight. Not interested. New Zealand dollar, not really interested in this too much either generally, although if it starts breaking down it might just break a bit quicker than the likes of the Aussie, etc. This quarterly pivot's been holding it pretty firmly up until now, air kissing, etc. If we can get a break below that, that could be more of a signal. Now in the short term it has broken below it previously, but got into a right old jam back there. That must have been Friday. Yep, that's on the Friday. So we'll see what happens today, whether we'll get, or today, tomorrow, whether we can get a break of this quarterly pivot. It could be of more interest. Okay, so on the majors, not a great deal there. Euro yen's looking a little bit iffy. I'll just take you through the time frames. It doesn't look iffy. It's in a strong trend. On the bigger time frames, it's whether or not again it's a bit like the dollar yen. Probably better off if you were looking at this trading the dollar yen, but yeah, this does look like it could have another sort of a drop down there at some point. It's just a consolidation sitting there at the lows of the current move down, so possible. Maybe again a better afternoon trade than the morning trade. Right, other markets then. Gold off 0.5% this morning. There we go. Well, yesterday made new highs. I think I'd done that in the morning there. Consolidating really around this upper phase here. It's between its a weekly R1 and weekly R2 really. It's most of the movement now. I wouldn't be massively surprised if it starts breaking down a little bit here, but it's hanging in there pretty decently at the moment. And oil has dropped. Now some are putting this down to the fact that the US are not attacking Iran. Get the right one. They've done Iraq already. Whose turn is it? So yeah, looking soft. Lower highs, lower lows coming through. Yeah, just looks like it's possibly gone as far as it's going to go for now. Maybe an afternoon trade there. We'll see what happens. It has been moving cleaner overall during the days. It's more tradable. Actually went at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, that whole action there. That was that. Anyway, S&Ps. So we continued pulling off from the new all-time highs that we saw on Tuesday. Yesterday it just came off here. Apparently some of the tech stocks are being sold a bit, which are going to affect the market more than normal because they're high impact on the indices, because they're high value market values. Catching quite a bounce back here at the moment though. May have well been the case yesterday running through there, but we're seeing a higher low coming back. It's not a market I really would want to be shorting. Generally I was waiting yesterday to see if it broke the pivot. It never did, but So no loss on that. Here, well, if you I really don't like going against the markets here, but if you was looking at a breakdown of these lows here, possibly on the short side, there's better markets to short if you're going to short them. FTSE, well, the FTSE's pipped up a new all-time high already. 8 o'clock's just coming, and it's started pulling back straight away on this current hour here. Here you go. I actually had the previous as well. I pulled back a little bit. Just maybe worth watching its reaction to this daily pivot here, whether we get a bounce off it. We just saw a continuation yesterday quite nicely, eventually pushed up there and continued. Let's just see what it does here. If it runs through this pivot, just watch out. It's got the key moving averages of 34 along with this, another quarterly pivot sitting there. Might just give some support to this current move. The DAX, I'm not particularly keen on shorting a lot of these markets, only because they're strong trend. The DAX is one that I tend to break the rule a little bit sometimes, but even so, it's just probably a short-term correction. You just got to watch this. It has come off in this current few minutes of this hour, come off quite strongly. We'll see what develops from this, but it is looking weak at the moment. S1 could certainly be in scope as it's moving here, but like anything, when the first few minutes of it's 2 minutes in the market, things can turn around quite quickly. Having said that, it's moving down pretty quite nicely at the moment, but I wouldn't go chasing these things. I want the trend of the things, not the tiny little buzz. You get into it and all of a sudden it turns. So, and again, you've got a quarterly pivot just sitting fractionally below price here. Whether this would provide support, we've got private highs and lows that are sitting over here, and they're probably not going to do too much, but there are other areas which could just give us some support area from this. Anyway, there we go. Not a great deal there this morning. Possible yen movement is amongst the hopefulness, but I'm really looking for more of a move on this if we can get a breakdown of the lows. So there we go. That's it for me today. I wish you a good day's trading, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye for now.